welcome to another edition of FP Live with Citizen Matters. For the last 2 weeks, we've been talking about steel flyover and the various viewpoints that are associated with this project. And this week, we talked to a very interesting guest who kind of spearheaded the steel flyover Beda movement when it initially started in 2016. Naresh Narasimhan is a very well-known architect in Bangalore, and his idea of opposing the steel flyover kind of took a life on its own when it, Citizens for Bangalore started out of that and a lot of things. You have been one of those people who've been dead against the concept of long flyovers, so to speak. Not flyovers entirely, but long flyovers in itself. Can you tell me why that is the case? Where are you coming from when you say it's not going to work?
Okay. India is probably the only country left in the planet where people are still proposing flyovers as a method of relieving traffic congestion, right? And we seem to be still stuck in a fantasy land where fossil fuels will last forever, and the growth in vehicular traffic, that is individual passenger driven mode of transportation, is given primacy about all other public transit modes. And a lot of infrastructure design and budgets and development are focused towards moving individual passengers and their individual vehicles rather than public transit. It is when I say that I am opposed to long flyovers, all they do is actually move congestion from one point to another point. They never really solve the problem. The real solution to the problem is matching the availability of road space, right, with a lot of provision for pedestrian movement. That is not unlimited road space, unlimited road widening, but making sure there's an equitable distribution between pedestrians, bicycles and non-motorized transport and motorized transport, and coming up with a cap on vehicle population of a city in proportion to its road area. All fantasies of building roads on top of roads, which is essentially what flyovers do, actually was touted as a solution in the 70s and 80s United States, when a gas guzzling nation, right, with massive and what it has shown over research over the years is that it doesn't solve the problem. It creates a thing called induced demand. When people see roads being built, even more people buy individual vehicles, and that is not an efficient way. You might talk about it being an aspirational thing to buy a motor car or a motor vehicle of your own, but all aspirations are not the right aspirations. Sometimes aspirations are driven by disinformation and misinformation. People don't realize that with rising vehicular population, air pollution is going out of control, and air pollution has significant public health problems, which is already being seen in the young people of today, and it will soon affect you and me and everybody else in between. Bangalore has no smokestack industries, so 60 to 70% of all pollution in Bangalore is coming from vehicular pollution. And if the popular vehicular pollution of Bangalore increases beyond, actually it should decrease to about 40 lakhs. Right now it's 80 lakhs.
And it's only going to go up.
It will go up, and this will become an unlivable place because there's no air left to breathe.
Right.
Coming back to flyovers. Flyovers are required in a situation, in a city, in a large city, for mobility reasons in 4 or 5 situations, right? One is over a body of water, a river. That's when you call it a bridge. Right? That's required. You can't really, you can got to go under it or over it. You got to go, again, when you hit a railway track, right, passing through the city, you got to go under it or over it. It's either an underpass or a flyover. When an arterial road meets a ring road, right, where a signal would cause huge pile-ups, and you need an interchange where people can change direction. When arterial meets a ring, you'll always have, you want to turn right or turn left, you'll be able to do that without a traffic signal to block you, which means you need to elevate the road and create like a clover leaf pattern or something like that. And you also need it where a sub-arterial meets an arterial. Like for instance, where Sankey Road meets Bellary Road, right, Kaveri Junction on our steel flyover path, definitely needs there is an underpass there, currently, but it's not working properly because it's badly designed. There's a magic box underpass, but it doesn't work because it's too narrow and it doesn't work. You need a small, well-designed flyover at that point. The Other thing, the other soft things that can be done to speed up traffic in the city is that I do not understand why parking is still allowed on arterial roads in Bangalore. Two, the road geometries are very poor. They, what we have learned from Tender Sure is that if you make regular geometries, traffic actually flows better. Instead of some roads being 2 lanes to start with, becoming 3 lanes sometimes, again reducing back to 2 lanes, and which brings me to the issue of the Chalukya Junction, as though it has to begin at Chalukya Junction and take you magically to the Hebbal Flyover Junction, and then you get onto the National Highway. But what if you changed your point of view and looked at it from where is the real congestion happening?
It's the Hebbal Junction, which everybody agrees.
Everybody agrees. Why does that happen? If you start looking at it from a reverse perspective, and when we opposed the steel flyover at that time, we did not oppose it saying don't do it at all. Yes, there is a problem, but are you looking at it correctly? Why don't you consider another alternative perspective where you look at it from the other side? We will solve the problem in reverse, and not in reverse, from where the problem is back to its source. We will solve the problem, because really speaking, think about it. When people coming from the airport, once they hit the ring road, some part of the traffic moves towards Rajajinagar, some parts goes away towards Whitefield. Right. When they come forward, when they come to Mekri Circle, some part goes towards Jai Mahal, some part goes towards Malleshwaram. Again, when they come to the next point, some part goes towards Palace Road as Masan Nagar, and then the balance only goes into town.
Correct.
Right. And it is the same when it's going to the airport also. Everybody is not coming to airport road only on the Chalukya Junction point. So the real issue is, the point where they all meet, unfortunately, is the Hebbal flyover. So logically, from a design perspective, I would say, look at why is that happening.
There is a lot of the solutions that are being touted are essentially being spoken in the context of the airport, how to get to the airport.
Correct.
There is a sizable population that lives in North Bangalore, Sanjay Nagar, Ganga Nagar, all of these. And how does the steel flyover actually address the issue? Because these people are living in the eye of the storm.
It will not address the issue because
so
of
how
induced
does one
demand.
help
So what you look at it, let us look at it logically, right? Hebbal Junction has 2 lanes, going and coming of 4 lanes up to Esteem Mall.
Correct.
So there are 4 lanes on either side plus the service road. When it comes to the flyover, those 4 lanes coming from the airport or going from the city become 2 lanes.
2 lanes.
So it's like choking somebody, right? 4 lanes of traffic are moving neatly, 3 or 4 lanes, whatever. Suddenly you make them like that. Everybody who is not in the 2 lanes which are aligned will try to cut in.
Cut it.
And causes a mistake. The flyover, the Hebbal flyover itself did not unfortunately have the vision. Nobody expected the airport. There was no airport that time, right? And then nobody expected the traffic to Bangalore airport would go like this crazily. Secondly, before I get on to how to solve that Hebbal flyover problem, there cannot be only one way to get to the airport. The airport is going to double now in the next few years.
Yes, because they're already expired.
There has to be multiple ways to get to the airport. There has to be a train, which they have announced also, finally after a lot of pressure. There has to be an alternative road routes. What if there is some agitation on this road? There has to be that Nagavara route has to be made proper. Maybe a route from West Bangalore, the peripheral ring road or something has to be brought in. And there has to be like 5 ways to get to Bangalore airport, not 1. Right? And all the focus, once you do that also, the amount of traffic coming on to Hebbal route will also come down once the other routes are. But the Hebbal itself, what can you do? If you look at the problem, okay, let me show you a diagram of the steel flyover which was proposed. Right. This is Chalukya Junction, what you see here, and this is the Hebbal Junction. Let's start here, because this is the most uninterrupted run it has. The Hebbal Junction, so you have a Hebbal Junction, you have a Palace Ground Junction, you have a Kaveri Theatre, you have a Mekri Circle Junction, you have a Kaveri Theatre Junction, you have a Windsor Manor Junction, you have a High Grounds Junction, and then you have Chalukya. These are the major junctions along the route. So let us go to Hebbal. Right? So Hebbal right now looks like this. Correct? You can see that there is a big traffic coming here, and you will see suddenly it becomes from 4 lanes of traffic it becomes 2 at this point.
Yeah.
So obviously you can see the traffic piling up. Already it's a little bit an older photograph. This is the Hebbal lake.
Correct.
And there is another lake on this side which is the Nagavara lake. So there is actually a NGT order which says that 75 meters from this point, you can't actually build anything.
Correct.
So technically they are not supposed to build anything, but they have started widening this loop already, but it is stuck there, nothing is moving. So what needs to be done is, one second, what needs to be done is do that. Right? You need to add 2 more lanes onto that flyover so that the 4 lanes stays 4 lanes. Or if you are not allowed to build within this area, put a suspension bridge from here to here to here. Over the whole thing, nice big budget project. Right?
They're very happy about it.
See, Bangalore also has to have some pride in its own thing, right? A well-designed bridge is always a great symbol of a modern city.
San Francisco, Golden Gate
Whatever,
Bridge.
you go to Bombay, you can take many cities and it will make a good project if you actually make it's about 1.6, 1.7 kilometer stretch. The technology is available in India, and if you can do an Indian themed bridge, a Karnataka themed bridge, I think it will be a great idea to put and leave the flyover below as it is to allow for, you can divert, you can do the traffic design correctly. That can easily be solved. You don't need, this will solve 30% of the problem of the traffic jam. Let's go to step 2, right? Now, the second problem where it is jamming is, this is Kaveri Theatre and this is Makery Circle.
Correct.
Right? What is happening is the road here is only very narrow. From a 4-lane road before Kaveri, it becomes 2-lane suddenly here. And there is a lot of wedding venues here which causes a lot of traffic
problems, yes.
So the road, actually technically speaking, now the government has already thought of this and built a compound wall on the inside of that yellow line.
Correct.
This much land has been acquired for acquisition all along. There's a lovely bunch of trees here. If those trees can be retained as the median and this road can be widened, okay, then the next traffic jam problem will be mitigated. This is only the issue why this is held up is this palace grounds is in court with the government, and this much land the TDR has to be surrendered. Now they don't know who to give the TDR to because
there is still
some case, but I'm sure this TDR can be kept in abeyance, and because the road compound wall has already been built. Correct. What is stopping the government from widening this road immediately? This has to be done. There's no other way, because only then that 4-lane continuity will be there. This is an inexpensive thing to do. It requires only political will.
Okay.
Correct? They have also bought a little bit of extra land here, thinking of this. Somebody has thought of this flyover earlier. What to do at that Kaveri junction. So if you look at the Kaveri junction, let me just take this out.
Yes. Kaveri junction.
Kaveri junction looks like this. You see the compound wall already has been taken inside?
Yes.
Can you see that?
And this is the underpass here.
This is the underpass, but the underpass stops here,
yes.
which is useless.
Yeah.
There is no use of this underpass, only stops and comes out here itself. So we are forced to go like this and take this ugly U-turn, and these buses and all have a real tough time making this turn. And really speaking, this is not required. This magic box technology was done in a hurry when the airport opened, and it was not thought through at all. And now maybe that magic box needs to disappear like a magic trick, like this thing. You can see the ground has been acquired. Now political will. All you have to do is to clean up the geometry of that junction perfectly, so that a left turn is allowed. From the Sankey tank, people coming from there can turn left, and the only thing now left is to turn right.
Right.
You can turn left, go straight, turn left. And the only thing is Sankey tank to turn right.
Right. Yeah.
And all you have to do is do that.
So you go.
It's a 0.7 kilometer long flyover. You put a flyover here, or you put an underpass. It makes no difference what you do. You put it like this, go over that palace thing, and rejoin the lane back. Finished. And the whole, you will again actually gain a beautiful little triangle full of greenery there. So the 4 lanes go to the airport. This road is widened completely here. Right. This flyover handles the right turn traffic.
Turn here. You don't have to go. You don't have to do that.
Inexpensive flyover, maybe a 20 crores, 25 crore, 30 crore flyover can be done in steel and overnight assembled. Nobody will even know that it can be done. I mean, it happened. It's an instant solution.
Right.
To the problem.
This is the same.
This is the same thing in 3D.
Yeah.
Right. Just to show you that it's very easy to do.
Okay.
Right. All right. Let's go to the next bit. Where is the next problem? The Windsor Manor junction, where the railway track is crossing.
There is already a railway crossing.
The real problem is here, where there is a circle there in front of Windsor Manor. that circle never works properly, and you need traffic lights there and all that, which is completely. So what is happening? The road is narrowing here again because of the underpass. So what you need to do is you make a flyover where the road is wide from here over the railway track, break that flyover which is there in front of
BDA complex,
and land in where that starts, go up like that and land here.
Okay.
Again, not a very long flyover, just about less than a kilometer.
Mm.
Go over the railway track and land like this. So what will happen then is, the proposal is to do 6 lanes sitting on, this is the steel flyover proposal by the way. You don't need it at all. This much concrete can be replaced by that much.
Okay.
Whereas this becomes one way this way, the entire road which is there right now becomes one way that way.
Okay.
You understand? With a right turn lane for. So what happens is, all you have to do is that.
Now the Kumar Krupa junction.
Yeah, so you just go over the whole thing and drop it there. So the right turn can go into where this is the Chief Minister's house. That turn can be, there's a free turn there, free left, no need of a signal. People who are coming from town climb onto this, drop down, go down, and all the way zip through to Hebbal flyover on a 4-lane road without any stop.
Correct.
These two minor things, minor flyovers, less than 100 crores, what I am suggesting, can replace the 2000 crore project and solve the and anyway on this line, if you look at phase 3 of metro, have you seen the phase 3
no,
of metro?
No, I haven't seen the phase 3.
It's exactly the same line. They have a metro line underground all the way to the beyond Hebbal.
Okay.
If phase 3 of that should actually be phase 2. I don't know why they have pushed it to phase 3, but phase 3 of the metro shows all the way up to Kogilu, I think. There is a metro line going completely in the same alignment.
But I think that's another 20 years away at least.
I don't know, but why is it 20 years away? Why do we spend,
we are not prioritizing.
If 500, 600 crore is the cost of digging a metro underground, we have got 35,000 crores, how much is that in terms of metro kilometers? I cannot understand why this is not done rather than, and I agree that road infrastructure is also required, we cannot all depend on the metro.
Correct.
But this is enough, you don't need to do more than this. See? And in Chalukya circle, this is how it is, right? All you might have to do after doing all that. Right now, this is the steel flyover. The whole thing will become a web of steel right from the Raj Bhavan. This is Raj Bhavan, by the way.
Yeah.
This is just to get on to that flyover, this is the kind of infrastructure proposed. Can you imagine the whole area, all the trees, everything is gone. And the whole thing will become a mess.
This is also,
and all you have to do instead, all you have to do is actually put that circle back in Chalukya circle. Why did they remove it? I don't know. That is a very good roundabout design. And maybe, if required, put an underpass from high grounds. The road is wide enough in front of the golf club.
Correct.
Underpass is one way down Palace Road. Anyway, it's a slope. The road is sloping, so putting an underpass is not difficult. Put one more on Miller Road, where this road comes and joins.
Joins here.
One underpass there, if you really need it. Beyond this, in less than 100 crore, you can solve a 2000 crore problem for the next foreseeable future. And anyway, now what they have done is they elevated. According to me, this steel flyover is just a teaser for the 100 kilometers of elevated.
That was actually going to be my next question. Which project is the red herring for which one? The 92 kilometer
know. I think this is a trial balloon which was floated. And it was not well prepared, and it had a lot of, as you can see, structural arguments against it. Plus, there were a lot of procedural mistakes which were made. Environment clearance was not taken. It was shown as an area development project, which is not. And there was no real, what do you call it? It looked like a project that had been cooked up over a dinner by somebody, not really over with any scientific this thing. But the steel flyover, which is the elevated corridor which is now coming up, the homework seems to have been more thorough.
Better.
But unfortunately, the premise with which it starts, saying that based on a private citizen's report, saying that this is what is to be done, and the same private citizen has sat in a committee and approved the same project, and the government has just adopted it without consulting anybody else or validating it through any kind of. The private citizen in question has said that he is a master's in transport engineering from 30 years ago. 30 years ago, what would have been the norm 30 years ago, I don't know what is the norm today. But I cannot understand why this is being supported by various other members of civil society. I keep posting articles all the time on why flyovers have failed, why other cities are breaking it, why, and always the answer is we cannot learn from, we have to make our own mistakes, we will not learn from other people's mistakes. The second thing is, I would like to ask every one of these proponents of flyovers, show me one example, in the last 10-15 years, in this decade, in this century, any city in the world which has used flyovers to solve a traffic problem. One.
Or at least in the city center.
In the city center, show me one. Just one project is enough. Okay? Actually, there is one.
Which is?
Okay, there is one which is partly solve the problem, but already now they are seeing the problem is Dubai.
Okay.
Okay, which used this technique of putting like a what I call flyover craze all over the place, and what is happening is that it creates what it doesn't understand is it creates a massive spike in vehicle purchase demand, right? Now some other arguments are on pollution. People say, oh, we'll all go electric. Electric is still congestion. If there is no place for a car to go anywhere, you can sit in your electric car and exhaust water vapor or don't exhaust anything, but still you will be stuck in traffic. The only logical way, I don't know, somebody said it, is that a developed city or a developed country is in which the rich ride public transportation. Every single one of the people who are promoting this flyover in Bangalore, this elevated corridor, when they go to Japan or when they go to London or when they go anywhere else, however billionaire or however rich they may be, when they want to get from place to place, they take the tube. They take public transportation. And the last mile they use a taxi.
Yes.
Okay, nobody takes their own car because it's a waste of time to. You cannot have a private vehicle based it is, if you ask me, it's criminal that people spend 2 to 3 hours in a commute every day. But what sort of life is this? There's no balance for these people. They don't have families, they don't have children to go back home to. They leave home at 6 o'clock and they come back at 10 o'clock every night, and most of the time is waste. As much 70% of the time they spend at work, they spend in transportation.
Yes.
A train moves 60,000 people. In the same space, a flyover moves 2,000 people. That's the logic. Okay, in the same hour, in 1 hour, it moves 60,000 people. A flyover moves 2,000 people in cars.
We're not disputing that a public transport system would probably move a lot more. Not even probably,
public
but
transport options. It's not just a metro. You need multiple ones. You need to end the monopoly on BMTC.
Okay.
Right? BMTC should operate just like Air India operates in a competitive environment. If the government wishes to subsidize BMTC to operate because of unprofitable route, that's fine. The airlines also, now we have secondary cities are also being connected by this Udan scheme. Similarly, unless you the problem is Bangalore has got nationalized. That means only the state has the monopoly to run a bus service. Clearly, it is not capable of doing so because BMTC has 6,000 buses. But anybody will tell you, but just by your eyesight, there are 50,000 buses operating in Bangalore belonging to all skirting the law. They are all violating the Contract Carriage Act in principle.
Yes.
But the government is unable to do anything. So I don't know why keep up the sham of keeping the BMTC as a monopoly company. Well, let 1,000 flowers bloom. Let the Zipgos of the world, Ride Secures of the world, Cloud Secure, whoever it is, come up to.
You've been very, you gave me a lot of reasons as to why, this could be sorted out in such a small...
Every junction everywhere there is a problem. Tin Factory Junction, solvable. Silk Board Junction, fixable. It's mostly to do with poor geometry and poor planning. And the people who are planning this are all fossil fuel era planners. They're not modern people who are not up to date. The problem is the lowest tender still gets the design job in India.
What is the government's reason for this love affair it seems to be having with flyovers? The Shivananda flyover again is another...
See, it's a poverty of imagination. It's not that... you can say that, people governments like to do projects because projects generate
revenues
and revenue. That's why you have words like lucrative portfolio in
Yes.
government. I cannot understand how a ministerial berth can be lucrative. But I'm saying that why not do the right thing rather than do the wrong thing and try to push projects which have wrong thinking. Do the right thing and do something. No, why not do the right thing which also costs a lot of money? It's not like it doesn't come cheap. I'm not saying what to do with it, but if you cannot solve all our political issues in one this thing, don't do the wrong thing to and spoil this. And these are all irrecoverable mistakes. Like the metro not going underground within city limits, at least within the inner ring road limits, is an irrecoverable error. We have to demolish it. That's all. There's no other way.
You can't.
Bangalore has. People don't understand. People think there are only 1 or 2 flyovers in Bangalore. Bangalore has close to 50 flyovers and underpasses. I've made a count. Okay, we've been doing this for a long time since City Market flyover. From 80s, we've been trying to build flyovers.
City Market, Richmond Road.
Not one has solved the problem. It is a continuous failure. You look at Electronic City flyover, it takes 20 minutes once you get on the flyover, but it takes half an hour to get on the flyover.
Yes.
The whole point of it is negated. If you put a train on that flyover instead, right? If you put a train to Electronic City and put 2 roads, whatever it is, I'm not saying don't do it. The 2 roads would have not been necessary. The flyover would have not been necessary if you had put a elevated train in the middle of that road in the first place. Why would anybody want to sit in a bus or even sit in a car and drive all the way when you can sit in one cool train with AC and it takes you there? And it's a 20-minute ride. If it's a 20-minute ride in a car, it's a 20-minute ride in a train.
Yes.
And if you could come and so we have a lot of, then they will say last mile connectivity. These are all easily solvable policy level problems. These are not physical issues like land acquisition or raising huge amounts of capital. On one side, you get a huge plan to connect the metro from Silkboard Junction to Whitefield, and they drop it saying no funds. On the other hand, you have 35,000 crores to build roads, which is going to serve, like, how much of Bangalore goes to Bangalore airport every day? Less than 1% of the population. For 1%, you will blow that much money, is it? Or you will blow less money and just solve the problem right now and quickly put a metro underneath that, which will then the idea of building I have a fantasy that one day I will see a headline in the newspaper saying footpath widening scheme rather than road widening scheme. But I'm not in my lifetime, I think.
Well, we all hope that will happen. Thank you, Naresh. Thank you so much for your time. You were very detailed in your take on the steel flyover. Next week, we come back with the version of the government as to why they want this flyover. Keep watching us. Thank you very much.